Hey everyone, this is Flying Casual. I'm James Razile, joined today with an unspecial guest. His name is
Andrew Fantasia, who is in desperate need of a haircut. I apologize, but it will happen soon.
You are, and we'll be seeing you again in a couple days for our Unleashed on Sith Lords. So all that. So this is a Flying Casual of the most casual we've ever flown. We had some time to kill, and you are, to say the least, you are obsessed with toys of the Black Series variety.
Mm-hmm.
And this past weekend was San Diego Comic Con, SDCC. For those that know, you did not attend.
No, I did not. I'm okay with lines. I think Celebration was a testament to that. But there's a line in the sand that I have drawn, and SDCC is on the other side of that line. I mean, 8-hour lines for whole H? I mean, no, I'm sorry. I can't justify that. And I'm sure that the admittance is even more expensive than Celebration was. I wouldn't go regardless, but I wanted to kind of dive into what they were doing with the toys, because there are a lot of exclusives from the Black Series coming out at Comic-Con, and it's kind of a shame because I know it's like I'm probably never going to get my hands on them.
Yeah, you probably won't. We're gonna talk about the toys and how they kind of connect. Well, some of them in the way how they connect to the film. So let's go right into that first one that I sent you the picture of Rey with the slash on her arm.
Yeah.
What are your first thoughts on that?
Well, it's, like every major action figure line will come out with here's Spider-Man, and here's Spider-Man all roughed up because Electro beat the snot out of him. So you got that whole battle damage situation, but I don't think that's what's happening here. I think that it's just accurately depicting a scene, an action scene, and we can kind of tell just from the look of the trailer that Rey is going to get roughed up in this movie. I mean, even the opening shot, which we're all assuming is from her training, she looks like she's, I mean, all that. So I think it's safe to assume that she is not going to escape without, acquiring 1 or 2 scars. And I think that's just, that little scratch on her arm is just the beginning of that. I think she's going to get that just falling on some rocks. Acto's got a lot of rocks, James. Rocks are sharp.
You think that's just? You don't think that's anything of consequence? You think that's just Hasbro or just wanting to release another figure that's not going to be a big part in the film?
Yeah, I think that's just they took a look at a shot of Rey in action and they wanted to make it as movie accurate as possible. I mean, think of how many movies you've seen where you have a character who, they go through something some big fight is happening, and you don't really see every wound being applied to their person, but you have them run into this situation and then you have them leave the situation and you look at them and see all these wounds that weren't there before. And you're like, oh, I guess they must have accrued all of that damage in that cloud of dust that they walked through. So I think that the thing on her arm is nothing more than Hasbro taking a look at a clip and saying, okay, this is a prime example of Rey in action in Last Jedi, so let's take that visual, and there's our toy.
Do you think that the possibility of it leading to her possibly losing a limb?
Well, that is my favorite part of Scavenger Scum on this channel is when Aaron announced, how about, speaking of Rey, she's going to lose an arm. I don't think she's going to lose a limb, because I think that there was a point when the new trilogy did all of its rhyming with the old, and I think we're past that point now. Everybody's thinking of the limbs because it's a staple, but I don't think we're going to see her lose. If anything, maybe Kylo might lose something. I mean, he's been messed up already. And maybe even Finn might lose a hand. I don't know. But in terms of Rey, I think she's making this out in one piece physically.
To be honest, I think they're all making it out in one piece. I don't think anybody's going to lose anything whatsoever in The Last Jedi. I think we've seen it happen, with Anakin a million times, with Luke once. I just can't see. I mean, it would be too obvious if Rey lost a limb, but I think she's going to get the crap kicked out of her. I said this before. I think she's going to get the crap kicked out of her in this next film, and maybe even going forward. And I think it's going to be Luke that's going to kick the crap out of her. Are you going to pick up that Black Series if you can?
If I can, I would pick up as many Black Series as I could. But the problem is, and Hasbro, if you're watching, please be watching. The problem is we live in a little country called Canada, and Canada gets these toys about 10 and a half months after the U.S. gets them. So for those of you keeping score at home, if you're a resident of the United States, we still have not gotten Baze and Chirrut from Rogue One. Still, to this day, I have not seen them in a store once. So that's just that's an example for you of how not ahead of the curve we are. We are so far behind on that. And I'll also, James, I'll send you, after we're done recording, I'll send you pictures of my Black Series, and if it's, I don't know if it's easy to do, but like you can put them on this video and like show people what the collection looks like. But I want people to know that half of that I had to buy from the States because it does not exist here. It just doesn't. So when I see these cool looking new SDCC exclusive, like they've got the Rey and Luke, which I'm sure will come out later, but they've got the Thrawn, which they're saying is 100% exclusive to Comic-Con. I'm looking at them and I'm just like, those are beautiful, but I'm never going to see those in my lifetime because of where I live.
What annoyed me the most was that and I never go to conventions. I'm not a convention guy, but I went to Star Wars Celebration, was really excited for it. Got there and I knew that they had that 40th anniversary Luke TIE Fighter, imagine, X-Wing pilot, Luke. And what annoyed me the most was how impossible it was to get, even when you were at Celebration. And it wasn't even that just, I'm at Celebration, I should be able to get it. It was, you weren't listening because you were listening to the Hamilton soundtrack, but there was a guy behind us in line who was bragging about how this was the day 2 and he already had 4 of those X-Wing Lukes. He had 4 of them, and he was bragging how he was going to go get more because he won the draw to get that day as well, and he was going to buy as many they were going to let him buy him that day. That's really what frustrated me. Was there were times I would walk in there and I would genuinely want something, and I had no shot because this guy bought 4 of them. And who knows how many he ended up getting throughout the entire weekend. He might have had 8, 16. And his whole plan was just to go on eBay or wherever they sell them and to sell them. And that's frustrating. I'm okay if, they come out with this Thrawn, they're like, this is only for people at San Diego. Because you know what, you spend, like you just said, you spend a lot of money, you wait in a lot of lines, you get there, give me something I'm not going to get anywhere else. That's completely fine. Exactly. But when you make it so impossible that even when you're there, it's impossible to get. Like, you had to win a draw to get that. This guy must have won 4 draws to get all of these, and I didn't win one. And I think I submitted my name for it. I didn't even care for something. I'm just like, I just want to see if I can. Nothing, which is, again, fine. You can't expect it. But when the same guy gets his name pulled out of the hat 2, 3, 4, that really ticked me. It irked me.
Winning 4 draws in a weekend, I've won 0 draws in 30 years. So it's like, how does this plausibly happen? And B, like, how hard is it to just say limit 1 per customer? Yeah. Like, how hard is that to do?
Or maybe make a couple more. That's the other. Let's talk about that Thrawn figure, though. You showed me this the first time. When you first showed it to me, I was like, that looks like a toy for a 4-year-old. As it came with all those pieces. It reminded me of like when you got Ghostbusters and it came with like an extra and like some extra like proton packs and stuff like that. That's what I thought. And then I saw the box. The box was the size of my face. No, wait, it was bigger than my face. It was like the size of my torso. And it looked pretty impressive. It looked like my Jabba's palace, my Rancor pit.
Yeah, it's about that big.
It was bigger than I thought. So why don't you talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah, it's Grand Admiral Thrawn, and he comes with, like you said, so many things. He comes with basically a background of props, and I think his desk. He's got the sculpture behind him. He's got, I think, like flags, obviously like a gun, the little pieces of art from that decorate his office. There's so much in there, and that actually kind of gives me hope, because it makes me hope and pray that maybe this giant package Thrawn office playset is the exclusive, and eventually there will just be a bare bones Thrawn 6-inch for everybody except Canada, because we're Canada. So that actually, when I saw that toy in all its entirety, that actually gave me a little bit of hope, because I'm like, okay, so maybe, give this giant toy box of props to the good folks who went to Comic-Con, but then do your regular figure down the line, which, like, they did the same thing last year at Fan Expo. When I went to Toronto Fan Expo, they had the very first 6-inch Black Series of old Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Alec Guinness one, and it came with, like, I think he was standing on like a or something. It was like an exclusive for that. But then later down the line, we got old Obi-Wan just on his own. So if they're pulling something like that, I'm cool with that.
Did you get that Obi-Wan?
I didn't get that exclusive big one, but
you got the Jyn Erso exclusive though.
Yeah, I got the Jyn Erso exclusive, but the Obi-Wan I just ended up getting like the 40th anniversary one, like everybody else.
Not me. No, I think they're going to do it. I think Hasbro's smart enough to know that. I think that's the way to go, because these figures are so overproduced now. There's like a gazillion of them. So if you make, this is special for this, but everybody can get that. I think that's a better way to go, because then you have your collector ones. Then people like you that just want them can get the other ones, because you're not buying them to sell them on eBay tomorrow. You're getting them to put them on your shelf and show them off to girls.
Exactly, and it has worked like a charm. I'm not going to the store and buying 7 Han Solos and pawn them off. I mean, all I want is one. I just want one little character that I can take out of the box and put on a shelf. When I see, like, I'm part of these Facebook groups where they, like, it's like 6-inch collectors, and they kind of show off their collection, stuff like that. And there's my feed is getting just inundated right now with people who are like, look at what I got at Comic-Con, and the guy's holding like 6 Thrawns, and it's just like, well, you're in this like as a business, for crying out loud. Like, you're doing this to make money. Like, just give me one Thrawn and I'm happy. But
in fairness, though, there are a lot of people on those sites that do say, "Hey, I'm going to San Diego. If you want this figure, let me know and I can pick one up for you." They're not all in it for.
That's very true. Yeah,
they're probably selling it to you for more expensive than they're buying it, but still, at least, a lot of them are like that guy behind us at Celebration. A lot of them are like that, where they're like, "I'm going to make a profit off of this because nobody can get it," and then there's some genuine people out there that just want the figure to have the figure, and just keep it in the box or whatever they do, or put it on display like you do and whatnot. But yeah, I've seen a lot of that as well online, and it's just like, oh man, come on, like, I don't collect really anything anymore. I have a lot of the Elite, and then I stopped after a while because I started having way too many of them. But like I would go to the Disney store every week when the draw to buy the Elite, and I would be there genuinely just I'm like, I want the Stormtrooper, that's what I want, and they don't want to let you buy one, and then you would see people leave the Disney store, and somebody that already had one would pay like $60-$100 for a figure that somebody just walked out with, because they were going to capitalize on it on online after. It was ridiculous. You would see that there, like the same people would be there every week. You knew which ones were there because they wanted it, and you knew which ones were there because they were going to try to make a profit off of it.
Yeah, it's
frustrating.
Like, if I'm sure there are people out there who that's how they make their income, and I guess all the power to them, because that's not, there's a lot of work involved in that. I just wish that, like, at the end of the day, these figures are coming from Hasbro. I just wish that Hasbro would make them more accessible. Like you said, have your exclusives. By all means, treat those people who made the effort of going to Comic-Con, because I didn't make that effort. So I'm not getting one of those Thrawn boxes, and I'm okay with that because I didn't make that effort to go. But Hasbro needs to, they need to realize that they are the ones making this. So give the stock to the people who want it. And like you and I, you know, how many times have we walked into Walmarts and it's just like 90 Jyn Ersos, 90 snowtroopers, the end. I mean,
oh no! It's, you know, not snowtroopers, flame troopers.
Yeah,
flame troopers, Jango Fett. Actually, Han Solo's been poking around a lot lately. I've noticed a lot of old Han. And yeah, Jyn Erso. I got Jyn Erso for $6 or $7 from a bookstore. It was because it was either buy Jyn Erso or pay for shipping, and I decided to get Jyn Erso for the same amount as it was to ship the book, and it made it free shipping once I got that. And that's why I ended up getting Jyn Erso, not in the cool box that you got, but you know, it's still Sergeant Jyn Erso, and I think it's on the set. Rebel Scum's or typical set, not
right, like the.
Let's go back to Thrawn. Do you think with this Thrawn box set, and then we had the book a couple months ago, and the announcement of him in Rebels, and the announcement of the book a year ago at Star Wars Celebration, Anaheim, Europe. Do you think this is the end of Thrawn in Rebels? Do you think his time is now up? This is them setting him up for his ending, his life ending. I mean, we can still get books that take place before his death, but do you think that this is just a build up to his demise?
See, I'm conflicted because I like the idea of him ending with Rebels because, you know, Legends notwithstanding, he started with Rebels.
Yeah.
But the only problem is that his whole backstory in the book regarding the Chiss and regarding the outside threat from another galaxy, I feel like that's too far in the deep end to be touched by Rebels. I feel like Rebels is going to focus on the story of Rebels, and that is, at that point, you're skewing off on a tangent that's way too far from what the storyline of that show is supposed to be.
But you could do that in another Thrawn book, though.
You could, yeah, but then at that point,
because it was created in a Thrawn book, you could also just put it in the next Thrawn book, and he can be like, "Hey, Palps, this," and then that is just all taken care of, wrapped up nicely in its own Thrawn. I'm just saying that because if you haven't read the Thrawn book, you don't know that even exists.
Right. I'd be okay with that as long as it doesn't cheapen his finale. Because however Thrawn dies, however we leave off with him, it should be a big moment because he's a big character and a lot of people like him. If he dies in Rebels and then you come out with this sequel book, I don't know how they would go about doing that. I mean, unless they're keeping him alive and we're going to see him in a live action movie going forward, like Episode 9 or something, I don't know. But unless that's the case, and I don't think it will be, we need something to close him off with a bang. And I don't know, at this point in time, I don't know whether Rebels or a book is the right way to do it. We just have to see how how we got him in Rebels. I want to see him close off in Rebels. But that story from the book, I feel like that and Rebels are just too different to kind of happen in the same medium. You know what I mean? So it's weird.
Yeah. I think, somebody pointed out when we did our Thrawn video after the book that they would like to see Thrawn go to the unknown regions, and he disappears in the unknown regions. And then that gives you a chance for Kanan or Ezra to chase him. I think we talked about this. For Kanan and Ezra to chase him up there, and that's how they are out of Yoda's vision. Yoda can't sense him anymore because they're too far, and then that that gets rid of the idea that we have to kill them, and they can always come back whenever you want them to come back, and whatever form you want them to come back. And that's a cool idea. That's a good way. I think that's a good way to end Thrawn. I don't know. Here's the thing. Everyone loves Thrawn because of the old books that are no longer canon. And I still believe that Snoke or Gallius Rax, maybe even, that was going to be the new Thrawn. That was supposed to be new canon Thrawn. Was either Snoke or Gallius Rax. One of those two was like, Disney Lucasfilm was like, this is our new Thrawn. People are going to love this guy as much as Thrawn. But what happened was everyone said, why don't you bring Thrawn back? And then Filoni, the genius that he is, was like, look, I could use him. I'll take Thrawn and I'll respect his character.
Exactly.
And so that's why I think you like. As much as it would suck for the Thrawn fans to just kill him off on Rebels, I really think that's a huge plausibility. It's a possibility because that's where he, like you said, that's where he started. He doesn't exist in any other medium really right now except for his one novel They had Gallius Rex. They have Snoke, whoever he is. They don't necessarily need Thrawn. Thrawn could just be a foil for Rebels that they picked from the. They thought it would be a cool way to do it. But then you could continue to have the Thrawn books, where Thrawn has always lived. He hasn't lived anywhere but books. When you think, like, he's never been in any other medium, really.
You can keep telling Thrawn books even if he dies in Rebels, because we have really no idea. I mean, we have no idea when Thrawn is really, right? It never really says this is 10 years after the Empire, or 10 years after the Empire. It's kind of like, hey, this takes place whatever we want to do, right?
We wanted to, right? Am I remember that right? I haven't read it for a while.
Sorry, your audio cut out on me for a little bit. What was the question?
Wow. Andrew not listening as per usual. The Thrawn novel never really states when it takes place, right? Like,
it covers so many years. Like, it jumps his life. Like, it really just jumps and jumps. Like, every chapter is like 9 years later. So, I'm obviously the first chapter. The Empire is already a thing, and the last chapter he becomes Grand Admiral. So anywhere between the end of 3 and the beginning of Rebels,
which is such a huge landscape there, where Zahn can go in and be like, I'm going to write 5 books. And one of them could take place in a week, another one could take place in a month, another one could take place in 3 years, and he still has time. Like, that he could keep writing books, which is where Thrawn lives. Thrawn lives in the book world. So I wouldn't be surprised if he never appears in live action, and I wouldn't be surprised if he dies on Rebels. I just think, and I think Filoni knows this, because something's gonna happen with Ahsoka this year. I think which Black Series Ahsoka. You have that. I do not. Something's going to happen with Ahsoka because he respects, I mean, that's his baby. But I think he also respects Thrawn almost as much as he probably respects Ahsoka. And so he's going to give Thrawn the send-off that Thrawn deserves. Because either way, Thrawn's going to have some kind of send-off on this show, because the show's ending and he is a character on the show. So he needs a goodbye on the show regardless. You know, like, all the characters need a farewell. Thrawn is Vader might even need a farewell on the show. He's not going to die, that's what I'm saying. But Vader might be like, I have to go to do this. You know what I mean? Or they don't have to, because he hasn't been on for a while. But if he makes an appearance, he needs a goodbye. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, at the end of the day, I mean, like, the wild card here is this whole outside threat that the Thrawn book introduced. And when all's said and done, if that threat from the unknown regions is going to be important, then I think that Thrawn serves his purpose as, like, if the threat is the hot, gooey con queso, Thrawn is the nacho. He just has to get that queso to our mouth. And once he accomplishes that, we can get rid of him. Like, he is our gateway into that world, if that's going to be important. If it's not, if it's just extraneous stuff to fill out pages of a book, then at that point, I think they can do what they want, as long as he gets a cool send-off on the show.
I think you're right, and now you're making me hungry, so let's wrap this thing up. Andrew, give me 5 Black Series figures you are absolutely dying to get. I think we've done this before. Something out of the box. So give me 5 out-of-the-box characters you would like to see Black Series.
Yeah, no problem. Well, Lando would be one of them, but now he exists, except he won't be in Canada, so I'll say Lando. I really want Wedge and Biggs from episode.
Really?
I want them in the X-Wing suits, because I love the way the Black Series does the X-Wing suit. It just looks so friggin' cool. So I want Wedge and Biggs, because Biggs has that really cool checkerboard helmet. I want Tarkin and or Piet. And General Grievous is the big one.
Ooh, I think Grievous Elite Series is remarkable. It's bigger than all the other ones. It is a sight.
You showed that to me.
Yeah, I waited in line. I won I think I was the last one in that draw that week to get it. Rob ended up buying it downtown Toronto. We found it, but yeah, that is my favorite. I would like to see a porg. I'm now into the porgs. They're my favorite characters of all time. The porgs.
Those birds?
Yeah. Don't call them those birds. They are the new Ewoks. I want a porg. I want Ben Quaterneros. I want two tubes. I 100% want two tubes. As much as the other ones will never happen. Two tubes. I want Watto. I would want. And who else would I want?
Oh, I'm sorry. I left out a big one. Like the one character from Rogue One who didn't get touched was Bodhi. I want a Bodhi Rook. He was my favorite.
Oh, he didn't. Yeah, I have all the elites. He's in the Elite series, so I have that one. And he just got his pop figure, so you might be getting your wish. Maybe.
I hope so, man.
Maybe you will.
America might be getting my wish.
America gets everyone's wish. It's the American dream. All right, let's wrap this one up. Andrew, where can everybody find you at? And don't say Twitter. They cannot find you on Twitter.
Cannot find me at Twitter. You can find me at Toys R Us looking forlorn and disappointed as I was looking.
Did you ever get Gree? Sorry, did you ever get Gree?
No, I checked the Toys R Us here in Woodbridge. No Gree.
I don't know if it was ever. It's not on their site. You said you heard that they had some in Canada. I don't think they did. I think that was a mislead. It was a misdirect. They had them in America, in the United States of America, my favorite country. They have them everywhere, and they were on sale. No, they were more expensive. They were $24.99 because Black Series are normally $19.99. We pay $29.99.
Yeah.
Here.
And Gree is my favorite clone outfit, so I was so stoked to get it. But
yeah, so take a road trip. Take a road trip, dude.
A road trip down to Buffalo. Let's go. And then you can find me on Facebook at Andrew Fantasia.
You can find me at Petsafina on all platforms and walks of life. I hope everyone that went to San Diego Comic-Con had a great time. Tell us your experience down below, and if you bought any of these exclusives, and if they hinted at anything going forward, Ella Ray's slashed arm. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. May the force of others be with you.
Always.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.